Former President Jimmy Carter, as we continue to celebrate the long life of the only president to hail from Georgia. And we can now report that the official funeral plans will begin in Plains, Georgia, where Mr. Carter, of course, spent most of his life. And that's where we find Atlanta News First Sarah Hammond. So Sarah, fill us in.
So the 6-day event begins on Saturday. The funeral procession will go from Plains to Atlanta to Washington, D.C. and back again. And we spoke to one longtime staple business owner here in Plains who tells us he knows exactly where he will be during all of these ceremonies because former President Jimmy Carter told him exactly what he wanted him to do.
I've become a better person by knowing them.
Philip Kurland remembers the first time he met former President Jimmy Carter 30 years ago. He and his wife had just opened the Plains Trading Post.
I turned to my wife and I said, I wonder if President Carter really lives here. And as soon as it came out of my mouth, I looked up and they were standing there to welcome us to the community, and they never stopped coming.
Now the largest political memorabilia trader in the country, Kurland and the late former president became closer over the years, especially when Kurland was seriously ill.
We prayed together, we talked together, and we went from being acquaintances to friends.
Now, Kurland is preparing to not only mourn the loss of Carter, but celebrate his life, along with many others. On Saturday, the funeral procession will take the former president from Plains to Atlanta, where he will lie in repose at the Carter Presidential Center until Tuesday morning. Then the former president will lie in state at the nation's capital. Carter's state funeral will be held in D.C. January 9th. After the funeral, Carter will be flown back to Plains, where a private ceremony will be held at the former president's church, and he will be buried in Plains later that day. And Kurland knows right where he will be through it all, because President Carter told him what to do years ago.
I figured I'm in trouble for something, and they said, when we pass and they have the funeral, we'd like you not to attend.
But it wasn't for reasons you might think.
They said, we want you to be open. We want you to have the store open so when tourists come, there'll be somewhere to shop. And the people that will be coming to Plains want a piece of history, and we have the history.
Now, the public is welcome to come and pay their respects at the Carter Presidential Center in Atlanta, as well as the nation's capital, while the former president is there. But officials are saying that lines could get very long, so be prepared if you do want to attend for that. Live in Plains, Sarah Hammond for Atlanta News First.
Thank you, Sarah.